Hello, Cara. How are you?
I'm good, HH. I miss you being in the office
I
next week.
know, all by my lonesome.
I
Well,
know.
that's something to look forward to. So, you know why I've gathered here with you
We are
virtually
gathered here today.
to test you on your knowledge of Marcomms.
Marcomms. Okay.
The
Yes.
first test is, what does Marcomms mean?
Marketing communications. Am I allowed to say
Good
that it's that,
answer.
that it's my favorite team? Is it okay to say that?
Favorite team. And
Marcomms.
I'm
And
going to pretend that I
you are
have.
the queen. You are the queen of Marcomms.
Well, yeah. So I was going to say is I'm going to pretend that I have amnesia. So who am I?
Your name is HH. Hayley Hatherell hyphen Shearer, to those who know
Mhm.
you. And you are the queen of Marcomms and my go-to for everything PR, communications, social media, videography, fashion, restaurant advice, like everything. You're my go-to.
I'm just a walking Zagat guide of life.
And you
Just
always use words that I have to Google, like Zagat.
so, who is in my team?
The team of HH, you oversee the communication side of things. So you have the wonderful Katie, love Katie so much, as your communications executive. You have the wonderful Johnny Blue. I'm going to call everyone wonderful actually, since I've used that adjective and I only ever notice that I use those same adjectives when I'm talking to you. So wonderful Johnny Blue, who is our social media manager. He works alongside Mairead on the social
Mhm.
media team. Then you have our wonderful Chris Gomesh, videographer extraordinaire. We have Atif, who is our SEO expert as well, because SEO obviously marries very well with content. And that is your team.
So you kind of talked about it there, but so what does my kind of department entail? Kind of
Everything,
touched on it there.
everything. So all
Want
things,
to vague that up for me?
so all things messagey. So
Mhm.
you work really closely with the development and design team in regards to content for websites and apps. Then also you work with communications in regards to the PR side of things. And so obviously press releases is a standard, but there is a plethora of other parts to do with the PR side of things. And your background is PR extravaganza.
Okay.
Um, Also, then you have your communications in regards to the social media aspect of things, and then SEO ties in very well with making sure that what you're putting out there will help every client in regards to their search engine optimization.
Okay. So it's kind of like how they work together. And why is it so seamless?
Because you head it up and you're the most you and Elena are possibly the most organized people I've ever met. Yeah,
I'll
I'm
let
gonna
you in
go
a
with
little secret. Elena used to be on my team.
she did. Everything in Adeo works seamlessly. When we talk about being a fully integrated agency, it absolutely is. There's not one department that doesn't work with another department who doesn't know everything. We have to know exactly what's going on. And also, our favorite friends word, pivot, we have to be able to pivot for each and every client and with their customer in mind. Being called the outcomes agency, we need to make sure that we're constantly looking at the return on investment for clients. And how it works so seamlessly is good organization, lots of team meetings, and
Mhm.
transparency on the reporting and exactly what is happening with each client that we're looking after. And that's ones who are on the development side and on Marcom's side as well.
That's good. So, what other departments do I work closely with?
You there's not one that you don't. So you work very closely with Stephen, who
Yeah.
is our senior UI and UX. And the reason for that is you really need to know, especially when you're writing the content for the website, you need to know how it's going to fit in. But before all of that, all the research that Stephen does in regards to user journeys, You need to know that so that it is applicable for every single person that's going to be going onto the website or app. So you work very closely with Stephen. You work very closely with Andy and Elena in the project management team, because you need to know where you fit into the timeline so that we deliver each project on time.
Mhm.
And then obviously your own team, and then also the PPC department as well, because that then is integrated. Everything's all integrated.
It's all a big soup. It's all thrown in there, but there's method to the madness.
Love it. And also, but I have to say, I think that you are on my speed dial more than anyone else. You do, Hayley, like in regards to being a business development manager, you always jump on to first calls. What I always talk about the HH brain. I'll just message you and be like, can I have the HH brain for 5 minutes? Because quite a lot of people will get in touch and not really know much about PR, or not really know where they're going with marketing, or maybe their marketing team don't have a strength in one particular aspect. And
Right.
you are so good at jumping on a call either with me or with the prospect as well, and then overlooking it and then being like, you do this little face, don't you? What about? And then that's it. And then there's like all these
the
ideas.
cogs turning.
But you do that pause.
Yeah. And then it
And
clicks.
and then I'm like,
Yeah.
so everyone, every single person.
So what is the one thing that I like to understand when I meet, or when I get a brief from a client or from you, or when I speak to a client on a discovery session and they're engaging with my team? What is the one thing I'd like to understand?
The one question you always ask.
Yeah.
What do you want to say?
Exactly.
And you say it always like that.
God.
What do you want to say? What do you want to
I
say?
try not to say it so like kind of like, ugh.
No, but it's like, but yeah, it's just that one question, and then you get such an amazing response, and you obviously in the HH brain all goes down and comes into life on your scribbling pad thing there.
And why is that such an important question to ask clients?
Because as well as being called the outcome agency, we obviously listen to our clients very, very well, but your role is to make sure that what they're saying is then translated perfectly to their potential customer. Now, not all clients that we've got have a degree in marketing or journalism, and they have an idea exactly of who they want to talk to, but then you have to put yourself in their shoes to understand how to communicate with that person. So there can be a difference in what a client's saying, what I want to say to this person is, and then how that person hears it. And this bit in the middle is you and your team.
Yeah. It's all about asking them, what do you want to say? Why do you want to say it? Like, why would anyone care that what you're saying is important? Because that's where we would discover, your USPs, your key messaging. If there's any competitors that they stand head and shoulders above, that's always really important. Because rather than, blindly sending out press releases, which ultimately could possibly is a waste of time unless you put yourself in the shoes of, so what? If a journalist is going to read a press release, so what? Why is this going to cut through all the noise? Is a press release the right way to go? Sometimes clients have a preconceived idea that, well, I'll just do this and I'll send out a press release and then I'll get X and Y. So understanding what they want to say, that could morph into, well, actually, we need to do a landing page. So I need to create content for a landing page that Stephen then designs, and it then changes into something else. And I think that's why an integrated agency is so important, because it's not just straight PR. We have lots of moving parts, and rather than, a client relying on other different agencies, they've got a one-stop shop where I am literally, well, obviously not right now, but I'm sat across from my team, and I can turn and ask these questions rather than, waiting on the phone for an answer from another agency and all that kind of bureaucratic tape that happens. All right. So I think you've answered the questions really well, Cara. Seems like you know what you're talking about. So to round it all off, how would you do my job? What would you do differently?
Oh, I would love for you to come out networking with me. Oh my gosh, that would be the dream. I'm going to put it on my Christmas list just now, because I think sometimes for me, and I've said this to you many times, is when I talk about Marcomms and I talk about you specifically, I am just the biggest fangirl. Like, I am like, Hayley is amazing. Like, this is all the things that she's done for clients and like I literally just fangirl you.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Susie. And I just think to have you, like, there's so many conversations I've had already today with companies. So they are doing hats, for example, they're selling hats, for example, and this is what they're doing already so far. And then I'll be like, right, channel your HH, come on, channel, just have one thing. But if I had you there, you could be like, oh, have you ever thought about doing this? And it would be the most obvious thing. But I just don't think like that.
WWHHD. What would Hayley Hatherell do?
What would HH do?